and then we'll pick up the conversation on the backside.
Okay, thank you very much. This gag order is not only unique, it's totally unconstitutional. I'm the Republican candidate for President of the United States. I received this honor in record time. Nobody's ever gone faster. It's never happened. Nobody's ever got the numbers that we got. And I'm sitting in a courthouse all day long listening to this stuff. And everybody knows, as far as everybody is concerned, if you read the great legal scholars and experts, everybody said this is a trial that is nonsense. It should have never been brought. That's showing loud and clear. But you have a judge who's totally conflicted, totally, absolutely conflicted, that he's rushing this case through. I'll tell you what, somebody just told me they'd never sat for such a long period of time in a courthouse before. It's ridiculous. I'm supposed to be in Georgia. I'm supposed to be in New Hampshire. I'm supposed to be in Ohio and lots of other places. And they have me sitting here for a Biden trial. It's a Biden trial. And I never saw so many prosecutors. They're all sitting in the room over nothing. Over absolutely nothing. There's no crime. There's no anything here. And that's what these legal scholars say. How can you bring a case like this? Bragg didn't want to bring it. Bragg is the guy bringing it, and he didn't want to bring it. Went to every agency just about in law enforcement. They all turned it down as a joke. And I'm sitting here because that's exactly what they want. They don't want me on the campaign trail. But it's a real disgrace. And the whole world is watching. It's a disgrace to New York. And just like Engoron is a disgrace to New York, we won that case because we won it on statute of limitations. And he turned down the appellate division. That's another case. It's all the same. He turned down the appellate division's decision. They gave a decision that gave me mostly a win. Just about the whole thing was a win. And he turned it down. He's a corrupt judge. And this judge is terrible. And Kaplan is terrible. Gave a person, I have no idea who she is, $91 million. This is a corrupt system we're in. And I think the people are understanding it. If you look at the polls, the people of our country are understanding it. Thank you very much. You could figure that one out easily.
All right, there you have it. Defendant Donald J. Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. Boy, I wish they'd wire for sound that lobby at the courthouse there. If we're going to be doing this for the next few weeks, they're really not making this easy for the American people to try to understand what exactly is going on. Let's bring in CNN's Daniel Dale, our resident fact checker, who will lay down some facts here, spit some hard facts based on what we just heard from Donald Trump that might not comport with the truth. Mr. Dale,
what might not.
Yeah. What do you got for me?
Jake, it's a tradition now in these appearances I do after these post-court hearings for me to note that former President Trump said this is a Biden trial or this is a Biden indictment or Biden is the one who brought this case. I come out here and note correctly that that's not true. It's completely baseless. Again, for the, I don't know how many times I've said this, this was a case brought by a locally elected prosecutor, Alvin Bragg. There is precisely zero evidence that President Biden has had any personal role in bringing the case. Former President Trump keeps invoking former DOJ official Matthew Colangelo, who went to work for DA Bragg's office. There is no basis for any suggestion that President Biden personally put him there, ordered him there, etc. And then we have this laundry list of other claims. So former President Trump, said he should be campaigning in various states. Perhaps he would have been. We can't, check that hypothetical. But our Kristen Holmes keeps noting that even on the off days that former President Trump has, he tends to not be scheduling campaign events. He tends to be at Mar-a-Lago on the golf course. So the idea that he'd be out campaigning every day he's in court, I think, is dubious at best. Then he repeated a claim about another case, the Judge Engoron case, where he keeps saying Judge Engoron turned down the appellate division and refused to honor the decision of the appeals court in the civil fraud case involving Trump, his sons, and his company. That's not what happened. Engoron interpreted an appeals court decision in a way that former President Trump didn't like, did not reject it. And then I'll just note that at the same time, former President Trump said that Judge Merchan, presiding over this case, is rushing this case through, and then that someone said to him, "I've never sat this long in court before. So he's simultaneously complaining, like literally almost in the same breath. The judge is making this go too fast and also is making it go too slow. It's not really a fact check, but just wanted to note it, Jake.
Well, it's like saying that President Biden is a doddering, senile old fool who is also at the same time a criminal mastermind operating all of these different trials. I mean,
Fair.
pick a lane.
Pick a lane. It's a pickle lane.
Yeah. All right, Daniel Dale, thanks so much. Let's bring in CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed. Paula.
Look, nobody's going to be happy coming out of a criminal trial where you're a defendant. Clearly, he is not pleased to be there, but he's arguing that he is being gagged. But he's talking to the world's media about anything he wants to talk about except for attacking the jurors, prosecutors, or family members of the judge and other court workers. So it's a pretty broad lane that he has. This is an incredible opportunity. Whatever he says, I mean, it's being covered live around the world. He could have talked about the protests at universities. He could have talked about inflation, crime, and instead, he just sort of used the opportunity to frame himself as the victim, once again, of an unfair system. And we've heard from many conservative pundits who are pressuring him to knock it off with the complaints and the alleged violations of the gag order and instead focus on your campaign message. And I think we all know that the campaign message has to be more than just I'm a victim of an unfair system. We've heard that many times. He insists that all of this is helping him in the polls, but this is a great opportunity for him, and the fact that he's just once again complaining about his gag order that has been upheld as constitutional and is pretty narrowly tailored, that's his choice.
All right, Paula Reed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. I would like to note that if Joe Biden were actually the mastermind behind all of these trials, then I think he would have actually not picked this one to be the first one. I mean, he probably would have picked the January 6th federal trial to go first, and then maybe for thematic reasons, maybe the Atlanta case after that, perhaps the national security case after that. And then only after those three, I would think, would he do this one and the one that already took place. So if he is a criminal mastermind, he's doing a really bad job of it. I mean,
although your plan is suspiciously accurate.
Wow, that's because I spend my days listening to wise attorneys. Anyway, what I was saying before Mr. Trump came and gave us his latest thoughts was that on the stand, Keith Davidson, and this is the prosecution getting this testimony, is talking about how he doesn't trust Michael Cohen. And Michael Cohen reaches out to him and says, I have the money. I have transferred the money. Remember, he took out this home equity loan, unbeknownst to his wife, and it is now in this corporation, and I'm ready to pay you. And Keith Davidson says, according to this testimony, I don't believe you. And so, to show that he actually did transfer money to this account at First Republic Bank for a $150,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, he forwards this email. He forwards it from his Trump.org email account and also to his Gmail account. What I thought was interesting about it, and I love both your thoughts, youth and you, is this is showing that, this is not F. Lee Bailey, this is, Stormy Daniels' attorney, but he doesn't trust this guy. And this seems to further undermine at least the view of Cohen among these witnesses.
Well, it's not the view among the witnesses that will ultimately count, Jake. I mean, he doesn't trust him because he's been stiff repeatedly. He wants his money there. I think, to Bill's earlier point, none of this directly shows Trump's personal direction or involvement. But what it's doing is it's setting it up so that what you can attack Cohen for becomes narrower and narrower. You want to tee it up to just the point that he did this at Trump's direction, and that was the habit that he had. He wouldn't have done this. And what that does for the jury is it's corroborated everything else. So he presents a small target. And then for them to disbelieve Cohen, it's a very teed up point, which is he must have done this all on his own. And the prosecution would say, why would he do this on his own? He's not the one involved with these people. He's not the one running. So what's actually doing is setting the stage for them to have to make a very tough call on a very narrow question about his credibility.
And Mr. Brennan,
here's why I do it on his own.
Yeah.
Okay? You said earlier, Jake, all of this testimony between these three guys leads to confusion. And confusion leads to doubt, and doubt leads to acquittal. And that, they better get it together, because this is a guy who said, I'd take a bullet for Trump. This is a sycophant. This is a barnacle. This is a guy who's attached his star to Trump's wagon at this time. And then he takes a home equity loan on his residence, doesn't tell his wife. Nobody trusts him. and he's earned that distinction. If this was so important to President Trump, why wasn't he involved? Why is Cohen running the show? Cohen wants a pat on the head. Good job, good job, good job there, Michael Cohen. That's what he's looking for. And when the jury can't trust Cohen, like Davidson can't trust him, one or more of the jurors will not convict.
But the jury is not going to be in the position that Davidson was in. They haven't been repeatedly stiffed by the guys. It's a totally different question of credibility.
Right. But this is what the defense is going to say.
Wait till they get a load of this guy on the stand for 3 or 4 days.
And this is the